So experimental archaeology, this is my very favorites. Experimental archaeology, the whole idea is to use controlled experiments to replicate the things we find in the past and look for those links, right? Those links are that middle range theory. So we are trying to recreate things that we see in the past. So the whole flint napping thing that we do, that's experimental archaeology. There's a great video that I'll link it. I'll link it alongside the other one too that I'm gonna have you watch about Neanderthals creating glue. So Neanderthals made like a pitch form of glue, and we've been trying to figure out how they did it, and we have come pretty close, but not quite. So it's actually considered the world's first industrial process, and it's pretty fascinating stuff. And they used it to make spears and stuff like that. So, but we've been trying to experiment, right? As archaeologists, we're trying to experiment and figure out what it is. How did they figure this out? How did they make this substance? What is it? Like, where does it come from? So experimental archaeology is all about using that experimental process to recreate data from the past. This is different from ethnoarchaeology because we don't usually have a modern indigenous equivalent to get information from, right? So we don't have a group like the Makia making this industrialized process that we can go out and watch how they do it and then try and recreate it. We don't have that for the Neanderthals. And so we don't usually have the modern indigenous equivalent. Sometimes we do, and we still want to do some experimental stuff just to kind of get that in-person view of what it's like. But the main difference is that we don't usually have it, and instead of having someone else create the thing that we're interested in, archaeologists do it themselves. So like, again, this is where we get into like flint napping. Like, we know what it takes, or we know the cognitive processes that it takes to create an Acheulean hand axe, because when we try to make an Acheulean hand axe, we know what we're thinking and we know what we're doing, and it takes practice and it's hard work. I mean, basically what I had you guys do in class, where you made your own stone tools, crude stone tools. That's experimental archaeology, right? Try to recreate something that we see in the record. So there's going to be 2 videos posted below this. One about a hearth fire recreation that is for someone's thesis, I think. And then I'll also try and find a clip of that Neanderthal glue video because it's pretty interesting. And so you guys can see what that process looks like. So 2 different examples of experimental archaeology. So please watch those as well. And then at the end of the module, when you've worked your way through all these videos, there's going to be a little quiz, right? So those quizzes are replacing your lab 3, one of your lab grades, to give you a little more points and make it work a little better in terms of your grades, right? More points equals better grades. So yeah, go ahead and watch those 2 videos next, and then take the quiz whenever you're ready. And then, of course, if you have any questions before you start the quiz, please let me know. All right, I'll talk to you soon.